Aww.
Oh,
So cute.
Such a cutie. All right. All right, everybody. I'm proud to announce the first Woodward Studios poetry reading with our dear friend Andrew McFadyen-Ketchum from Nashville, Tennessee.
Look happy. Look happy. Look snappy.
He's written how many books now? Like 12?
Three
books.
I published 3 and I'm writing up the 4th.
Published 3, working on his 14th. We got Fight or Flight, a book by him, Ghost Gear, and what's the third one called, Andrew? Visiting Hours, so check them all out. But we're so happy to have you in town, and let's all give him a thunderous applause.
Okay, so I have my playlist over here. I might get lost, if that's okay. Thank you for being here. This is really lovely. So I'm in town impromptu, and this is the most last-minute reading of all time. I mean, so it's actually kind of a fun experiment. Like, if you have a last-minute reading, can you actually like have some fun and get to know each other a little bit? So okay, these are my 3 books. Ghost Gear, I published it in 2016. Okay, all right, then. Visiting Hours, I published it the same day that the NBA shut down for COVID. That was 2020, literally the exact same day. And then Fight or Flight, which I published like 2 years ago or something like that. It's nice when you have like a really like specific date that you can work from. So this is only the second reading in my entire life where I'm going to actually read from all 3 of my books. And actually, it's the first reading in my entire life I'm going to read from all 4 of my books, because I have a 4th book I'm working on that I'm going to present to you as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 2 poems from each book, okay? And there's going to be a long one and a short one, and then a long one and a short one, and a long one and a short one. I got some rhythm. Yeah, look at this, like yellow. Yeah, long one and a short one. Okay. And by long, I mean like 3 pages or something. So with a long poem, just don't worry if you drift off. Like, I can't listen to an audiobook. I cannot do it unless I just drift off and come back, right? So if you drift off and have to come back, you'll be just fine. And also for this reading, I'm gonna rip the shit out of this reading, okay? So be ready, all right? Like, I'm not getting a reading that like everyone's gonna like. It's gonna be the one that you guys are gonna like, okay? All right, so start with Ghost Gear. This book is about growing up in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's taken many years to realize this, but it lionizes my father, who I was lionizing, I think, because I was struggling to realize the reality of who he was. All right, this is the word damn and the word God. Who knows what strung those 2 words together on my tongue? The summer Chris moved in across the alley. All those long June hours we tiptoed the rusted out railroad, begging for the vibration of approaching freight, or playing Yahtzee, camped out in the dome tent pitched in his backyard, searching in the numbers for any sign of first light. But my money's on the afternoon, I stepped into a mining bee's hive, mid-stride catching a touchdown spiral with time running out, their home woven among the roots of Chris's peach tree. For weeks thereafter, St. Anne's Catholic Church across the street called, "Repent, repent." I, the kid who stormed the neighborhood in escape of bees, crying countless curses, every inch of my body scorched, a hymnal of goddams tucked between bicep and bird chest. Chris's father poured 2 gallons of gasoline on that construct of whispers, and my father let him watch him drop a lit match into the earth from our high kitchen window. That night, Chris gave me a mason jar of dead miners curled up like little spiders or doubt swept out from under the couch. And all night I dreamt of the mason's magic, bees rising on invisible spindles in the grass in that pause between time and conflagration. But my mother decided it was Chris. Who through the darkness of a few nights later, she heard screaming God damns with each strike of the father's leather across the son's back. I cried when my father told me I no longer could play with Chris, and he wept when I said, but Chris is all I have. Chris, who caught a carp a day later, his prize strung up by an arm's-thick tree branch through its breathers. Chris, who liked to strum the testicles of his pit bull named Rex, who was mean as hell, kept chained to a sycamore by the alley between our yards, but when Chris was around, would turn into the sweetest of things. Chris, who I thought of this morning, as fog lifted to reveal 3 acres of wheatgrass, frosted silver, reaching for the pole star like a bed of nails, and I was flung back to the day I stumbled from Chris's basement with a 2x4 rust-nailed to my heel, Chris unhooking Rex's chain, the panic bitter in my mouth, my eyes squeezed shut, then the warm slap of Rex's tongue from foot to nail, from nail to foot. Chris and I bearing witness to the healing power of a dog's saliva as he rubbed Rex's balls, and Rex groaned as blood eased from my skin. He and his father moved late that fall, chasing factories deep south, and now Chris lives in that place where absolutely everything is true. Some say his father turned to Evan Williams. Some say Chris simply became what he already was. And I wish I could say I've run into him in line at the DMV or at some bar I've come to for the dancing, and there's Chris, stitched into fishnets, neon strobes like moons in his vinyl knee-highs, eyes shadow thick as clay and tire tread. Wish I could say we've laughed over beers and told old stories, slapped one another on the back and argued over the tab. But Chris's father didn't bother to clean the bony nice sequined from yet another Sunday on our Kabutla Lake. 3 large mouths reserved on the bed of ice, Rex outside howling. And now I wonder if this explains that summer of goddams Chris yelled down all of those dreary railroad miles, how he always knew at the splits which curves turned toward the switchyard and which paid the path to Tennessee's Jerusalem. So glory be to the goddams, he cried all those hours it takes a knife to kill a boy. Goddams to the hours it must have taken Chris to die. Goddams to the carp we never caught, to the knife destined for Chris's gut. Goddams to all dogs too weak to loose their chains. Goddams to all the stories we do not tell. To all fathers angry with their sons. Goddamn. If I could, I'd take Chris in my arms. I'd get down with the grit and the linoleum and patch that rift of skin with my tongue. I'd hold the boy drunk between 2 lives. I'd freed ourselves and wait for the sculptor who folds greatness out of stone. Our 2 bodies draped, one into the other. The word damn and the word God. You know, sometimes it'll blow your mind. After that poem, I have to ask for applause. Thank you. You know, so I say that as a joke. I mean, I'm really like, somebody puts it out there like that. Applaud. Okay, short poem. This is called Perseus. This is for Judy Jordan, who taught me how to write the poem I just wrote and the poem that I'm writing and all the poems I'm going to write or read since. Perseus. No words for that which holds him here so silent. Mortal on this limestone bluff, wet leaves dead beneath wet snow, and day's last light scouring the west face of the ridge. Last night, it was the comet he eyed through the lens, elusive, wall-eyed luminance swelled between the crosshairs. Now, late dusk, it's an answer he seeks the upcountry of its rivers carved long ago by glaciers. Now, it's an answer he seeks of this stunned earth, of this stunned body, body bound to nickel, body bound to iron, body bound by the self-same forces that fixed Perseus in the high north sky. But he doubts. He's as alone as this arrangement of stars. The screech owls wail descending through the night. The bobcats cry to the sun-turned moon. All this with this need for some belief, with this need for some faith, that someplace deep a fire blazoned core, that someplace not far, an ear for such lost and lonely music. You know what would be really amazing? If someone actually booed. Boo!
Careful what you wish for.
Come on in. Welcome.
Boo!
Boo! Oh man. Okay, so that was book one. Ghost Gear. Yes,
I have a copy.
I know you do. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you very much. This is my second book, Visiting Hours. And I don't know if you just heard me, I went, oh man. The reason I went, oh man, is because I'm going to really push it hard and I'm going to read. So, how to talk about this book? So, this book is about my best friend growing up, Mary Innerlandy was her name. She jumped off a building in downtown Nashville and took her life in 2003. And so it's really hard to share this book because it's kind of like, mildly depressing. And because it's big, so like there aren't a lot of poems that I can like really share much of the scope of the poem, but I've got a way to share this. So the first poem that I ever wrote about Mary was called Marisarius, which is Mary's arias combined into one word, a portmanteau. I'll be damned. That's unbelievable. I just realized that just now. So my favorite pun is to combine words. And so for a long time, the title of the book was Marisarius, but it didn't really work as a title. So I came up with a better title, Visiting Hours. Better title. But it's hard to share the real true heart of this book. So what I'm going to do, because this poem is like 10 pages long, and we can't do that. I've done it a few times and it didn't go very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read like the first 2.5 pages. Okay. So just know that when I stop, the poem continues on. Okay. This is Marisarius. Ghosts, too, have dreams, she tells me. The living and the dead, drawn out of the mist by strange rained beasts. Chimeras, for example, with the bodies of lions, the giant croaking heads of toads, oxen in tandem, winged and tailed with the flames of controlled burns. Mary, suspended in this dull talk, no wind, no earth, no moisture, no heat. Light, the sourceless lux of an animal's skin. Sound, the stir of breath fading from windows. Echoes whisked through narrow corridors of brick and steel. Wind weaving the dead, bare limbs of many dead, bare trees. Sometimes she's visited by family in a dream. Her mother and father, of course, both sisters. Once it was her great-grandfather who peered through the lamp-light window of his stagecoach, his lab coat crisp and white as creased sheets of paper. He who discovered the particle nature of light. He, one of 53 inventors of the atomic bomb. Sometimes she's visited by those who found her. The security guard still haunted by the shape of her body beneath his pea-green parka, the nurse's lips still cold with the faint pulse felt when she touched her lips to Mary's. Other times, it's the last to see her alive. First, a man, a young lawyer standing in his suit before his office window, Nashville in its mid-winter husk, Bruton Snuff Company in cold neon above traffic and tree line, Mary climbing onto the ledge of the parking garage rooftop. Then, a woman, young like my mother in the years before those snakes of hair dropped from her temples, a waitress cupping a pommel against the wind, tips singing a fire in her apron pocket, Mary falling through the sky. Once, an entire caravan of Nepalese children shuttled by in the fog, smiling and waving as if Mary were back in the Manang Valley, directing these small villagers to squeeze in. As she adjusts the camera's focus, the digital f-stop flipped to infinity, the rising low clouds of the valley angled into the frame. Sometimes, she tells me, strangers emerge from the half-light. Flight attendants coiling their hair in buns with number 2 pencils. Migrants begging for work in the lot of a Home Depot. Night janitors pushing their push brooms down the long, sterile hallways with their paychecks. She never knows who will come. Yet sometimes she calls out to them, and no one hears her. Always it ends the same, she says. Thick braids of mist swirling about her. A vague notion of moisture, a vague notion of heat, a presence in the drifts of dusts. Then the slow breaking apart of the self. Frail wafts of her arm merging with the vapor. Strands of her hair drifting like dandelion heads from the roots. Mary joining hands with the fogged breath of God. See what I mean? It's a little harder. It's a little harder to get it across, but thank you for giving me the space to do it. Okay. You feel it. Yeah, that was the goal. I'm not going to explain suicide. I'm not going to have a narrative about it, but you're going to get people to feel it. Yeah. Okay. Who knows what a catalpa is? All right. It's the most ancient tree on Earth. All right. Next to the ginkgo. I think the ginkgo might be the most, but it's the second to most. Okay. There are these really neat trees, and they send these long panicles down, and that's their seed, and then it flowers within that, and they have these cups, and the cups are facing toward the sky, seeking something. They're really interesting trees. So this is called the catalpas. They shudder. The catalpas, they step from their roots. And the first line is the title of the poem. The catalpas, they shudder. The catalpas, they step from their roots. They lift against the heavy burden of their gravity. They strain from their bedrock stations, ice shattering from their limbs that are too many. The catalpas, no flood. The catalpas, no drought. Tea-take disease, the bagworms my father once harvested from their branches that rose behind our house to tempt brook trout and browns. And though the catalpas know nothing of the delicate dials of wristwatches or the singing of clocks, the catalpas have authored odes to the springs they vaguely remember, that season of hours when earth woke early. They remind one another limb to limb, that length of time when the sun sparked something internal and their bodies broke out in long panicles that dropped to the oracle mouths of birds, proof of their fertility and frailty. Alas, they delayed too long, these ancient ornamentals, for signs of earth's waking. Alas, they've waited too long for the earth to tilt back into the sun's good graces, and now they are tired of being on hold, tired of that thin telephone song winter plays across the white asphalt, that season of jingles rattling the landscape. So they wake the catalpas, so they startle their endowment of February birds. They shake their many arms, shed great schemes of ice as they form their procession, as they hum sans irony the lullabies that once hummed them to sleep, bursting one after the other from hardwood into yet another urn of ash as they topple from the edge of the unidimensional world, roots trailing after them, roots frayed and tangled as radio wires, roots gelid tentacles wriggling from the deep, the comet's tail, these misplaced lovers, tadpoles of light, swimming toward and always away from salvation. Okay. All right. Okay, so since I'm reading all three books, it's like there has to be sort of like a narrative from book to book to book. So I worked on this book for 10 years, visiting hours. I didn't write about anything but Mary. Nothing. I refused to write about anything but her. Okay? So when this book was finally in the world, I was released. I mean, it really was like it's a weird thing. Around that time, I got a divorce. Woohoo! Right on time, right? I'm released, and now I'm getting a divorce, and I'm releasing myself. So I started to wonder if perhaps the two things didn't have a little bit of a relationship with each other. There's that thing about like the artist kills the artist, you know? So when I got the divorce, I decided that I was going to go out into the world and live a different way. And that meant that I lived with many of you here, and I almost lived with you. But I also went and lived in a tent for about 2 years, sort of all over the country, just finding different ways to...
You need to be careful, but
Yeah, you're getting paint on you.
Oh, I love it. It's great. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
this is his.
Oh, we don't want it on the phone, though.
Yeah, so just watch out for these.
Okay.
These on your clothes, though. I mean.
It's beautiful. I love it. Let's get more paint on it. Throw some paint at me, Andy.
Makes you look creative.
It's
Oh,
on
shit.
your book. Yeah, it's on your book.
There we go. All right. I'm this good about it. I'm this good about it. All right.
Oh,
Okay,
God.
so, all right. Okay, weird. So, where was I? Was living in the tent, thank you. And I was trying to write about, like, I really wanted to have a family, but at that time I had no clue how I was going to get there, which is really interesting because I did get there. And through the writing of the book, possibly got there. So this book is about, surviving through a unsuccessful marriage. I'm trying to pick the right words, and then going out and figuring out how to try that again, because it's kind of hard to do, and believe in what I'm doing. So I'm going to read you 2 poems. I think I had a plan here. Why am I looking at this thing? Okay, so I'm going to read 2 from this, as I did before. I might slip another one in, because this poem has some books about my wife in it, and I think I should probably woo her a little bit. You know what I mean? Like this recording, I can send it to her later, a little wife wooing. So I might cheat myself. All right. Curtis earlier was talking about his poems. I was like, damn, I gotta read it. It's called The Dying Park. And the Chris in this poem is the same Chris in the first poem. I forgot about that. It's crazy. The Dying Park. It was Chris who first saw the glowing snake that lazed across the alley between the Save-A-Lot parking lot and the park where our pets went to die. A king snake, Chris believed, at least 6 feet in its dozing length, its chain link of black scales magically aglow. They approached the thing at first with stealth. 7 skinny kids in their swimsuits and scabs picking at it, at first with sticks, then with the tips of their Payless Jordans and Dions, until, emboldened by stillness, they double-dog dared each other into leaping its stalled machinery. The boys proving they were men, to girls proving they weren't afraid nothing. Day turned to night in that alley. The sky shut down and the moon rose up. The children's faces so brightly lit by snake glow, they looked like cities in the dark. And though he should have seen it coming, the boy flinched when Sam's foot slammed down on the snake's sparkling head, and Tim grabbed hold of its writhing tail, and Chris slid it open from anus to head to see what that king was made of. What did they find within? A family of 7 gray mice agleam with an even more powerful light. 1 mouse per child, they fished each glowing body from snake meat and held them like jewels in their hands. Which glowed first? The boy wondered. Snake or the mice it ate? And who would believe them, or in all of that glow? Like stars, Emma said. Like Jesus, Sam said. Like something from another world, Chris added, as he began to bring his bright blade down again to see what glowed deeper in. That's when, all at once, their mouse eyes opened. And with a blaze of light and a newborn's wail, the mice leapt from their hands to scatter into the green world of the dying park. For some time, those kids just stood there. Chris with knife poised above his irradiating palm. Sam's mouth agape. A streak of what looked like the guts of a firefly smeared across Cassie's shirt, the snake hanging from Tim's grip, and black ribbons and blood. What had they witnessed? They wondered, as they washed what glow remained from their hands in the creek that flowed between the storm drains beneath Interstate 40. That bright substance briefly illuminating the dark water with a seam of light that snaked into the mouth of the sewer system. Were those mice resurrected? The boy wondered the rest of the way home and the rest of his life. Or had they merely caught them dreaming when they unzipped that king's belly and gathered them in their hands? The boy has dreamt many times of those glowing mice. He often wakes to floating down a river in the dark, submerged in the glow, fish darting like shooting stars all around him, the body of that snake bobbing on the water before him, which he gathers in his hands and paddles back to the bank and lays it on its back and pulls the sides of its split belly together like stitching a wound, like swaddling a newborn, like jacketing a toddler eager to play in the snow. Then he coos at the snake, limp in his arms. Then he gets back in the water. The glow is gone, but it cannot be far. If he swims hard enough with his one free arm, perhaps he can find it again. Keep moving, he tells himself as the undertow builds. Keep moving, he tells himself as he feels the child unraveling in his arms. Keep moving, he tells himself, over and over. What else is there to do?
Did that really happen?
Did that really
They
happen?
came alive?
No, I made that up
Oh,
entirely.
okay. Does that happen? Like, are they dead when they get inside?
It's metaphorically true.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's metaphorically true. The
You
neighborhood
didn't run it by any
glowing snakes. No, but I appreciate the question. I mean, the neighborhood was full of snakes. Still is.
Mm.
But they're rich white boys from Atlanta with their fucking collared shirts. Anyway, where am I going? I don't know. That was great. You know what? I know where I'm going. I want to read this one. I need to woo the wife. She deserves it. So it's kind of interesting. This book is new enough to where I still don't know exactly where all the poems are. Shit, where's this poem? Just give me a second. There it is. Okay. So, like this book. Okay, this book was my MFA thesis, and it was kind of like my introduction to the world or something, right? Okay, so this book was like the true like labor of love. I mean, I spent an obscene amount of time on this book, like I said, 10 years, but that wasn't even like the end of it. It was just like the writing of it was 10 years, and then the editing was another 4. Took forever. And like, I was trying to prove myself as a poet and ghost scared, and then in visiting hours, I was like, I'm gonna be an opera singer, like, woo, if you didn't notice the little operatic. This book, I was like, I want my mother to understand the poems, right? I want my bartender to understand the poems. I want everyone to understand the poems. And so, these poems like really worked hard on like using like everyday language, but still having an ability to sing, which is super hard. It's pretty easy to sing when you don't use the language of everyday people. That's a really shitty way to put that, but like, you know, the common language. If you are trying to use the common language to sing, it's a whole nother conversation. So, taught me a lot. All right, this is with you. All night, they mistook the white bat who dropped in and out of the darkness and light of a lamppost for a meteor shower, peering from the stars that would not give up. It wasn't the first time they'd mistaken one thing for another. Good lovers for wine, a beautiful lie for truth, yet another house bench for some form more rare from the pages of the guidebook. But why be disappointed? They asked one another in the night. For they were together, sipping rosé below Jupiter in a hot tub in the midst of the woods, in the middle of COVID, in the middle of their lives, on the eve of her 39th circuit around the sun. In hours, they plan to wake in the cabin they've rented to make love. Then they will rise naked from the warm sheets to seek Neptune through the telescope, that god of fresh water who will be outshone by Mars and the quarter moon. Isn't that how life is? He'll remark as she strains her eye against the lens, adjusting and readjusting the focus ring to no avail. Her strawberry blonde mess of curls falling around her shoulders, her breasts in moonlight. Life is a constant search for water. Each day is a journey, he says, and takes her hand and kisses down her body and says with eyes open, looking up into hers, each day is a journey that ends and begins. Thank God, with you. I'm just realizing that the phone over there has the photos that I need, so we're gonna just transition. And I've got 2 poems left, and then after that, you guys can like go to the bar and have a good time. I totally get it. We can also have a little conversation. Do we have time? Like maybe talk about a little bar and have a good time. I totally get it. We can also have a little conversation? Do we have time to like
Sure.
maybe talk about a little poetry? That last poem really did happen. not as mystical as they. Okay.
Needs more glowing snakes.
It needs what?
Needs more glowing snakes.
Yes, yes, I agree. All poems need more glowing snakes. All right, so I got 2 poems to go. This poem I've been working on. So I'm working on poems in an interesting way these days. Like I'm sending them to friends and not to poets because I think poets don't really have a lot to offer, but I think friends do. Yeah, some of you who know what I mean are giggling in the audience. This is a poem that I think is pretty close to done. Those poems are done. This is Jurassic Park. After I ushered the children back to the TV because they don't yet know what a closed parent's bedroom door means on early Saturday mornings, I tuned Netflix to a cartoon about a congregation of abandoned children fighting off T-Rexes and velociraptors on Isla Nublar when our youngest, Big Fish, I call her in poems, tugs on the hem of my bathrobe and says, her eyes dark as the space between stars, hungry. We are hungry. So this is me, 43 years of age with a dangerously high A1C, fashioning PBJs and sliced Honey Crisps, mid-coitus, a regular Wolfgang Puck over here, brandishing half-chub in a butter knife. It's a scene in a movie, the way I see it. The boys in their Sunday best, a blue bow on the head of the newborn. Karen smooths a wrinkle in her dress. She knocks on my door, eyes glazed with hope. Please love my babies with me, they say. Please love my babies with me. Back in the bedroom, I jam a book of some friend's poetry under the door to keep the children from pushing it open again, little Sisyphuses with their little stones. And she starts, my love, to get me back in the mood, the details of which you'll have to Google, though it has something to do with the body and imagination, entire childhoods of whistling alone in the woods lifted from my shoulders, and I sink through the bed, through the floor, through the earth and ceiling, until at last I am finally back inside her, where all our abusive fathers, all those lonely bicycle hours are crushed like a roach under the thumb. This is when it happens. When our eyes light up, just like the first time we made love, with a joke mid-pleasure. Now, eventually, she says, in her Dr. Ian Malcolm Best, you might have dinosaurs on your dinosaur tour, right? And we burst into laughter, and I can't help but say, clever girl. What a clever, clever girl. Okay, last poem. This 4th book I'm working on is called Unsubscribe. There's eroticism in it, and I'm trying to find a way to write about sex. So y'all are the first test subjects. It seemed like it went okay. Okay. At the same time,
We knew what you were talking about.
yeah. We understood. What does he mean by introvert? I don't know. It's like the most cliche way you can talk about sex ever. That's what's kind of fun about talking about sex, is like it's cliche no matter what you do, so you can just be cliche as fuck and like no one really cares. Thank you again for having me, and please thank the Woodward studio. So the sort of weird thing about this is that in the midst of all of that, of course, is like domestic life and raising children and all that. This final poem, this literally happened, and I've written a lot of poems about things that literally happened that are pretty shocking and amazing and this and that and the other, in the sense that they actually happened. But this one, I can't believe this actually happened. This is called The Call of the Carolina Wren. I forgot about the first line. Okay, The Call of the Carolina Wren. Walking the daughter with my dog on an early Sunday morning, yes, before her mother wakes, she skips ahead singing, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. What are we doing again? I ask. Singing, she says, with the bird, pointing to the body and sound of a Carolina wren, that earth tone passerine the size of a teacup, a white lightning streak from beak to the back of its crown, and I hear it. Do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. A song I've heard all my life, and believe me, I believe, but I've never stopped or thought or paused to sing. So we're all thinking, we're walking along with the dog, and she goes, do it again, do it again. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, the bird. I'm like, I'm a birder, look. So it was pretty magical, you know. Kids are like that. They're also a nightmare, aren't they?
Did she get co-writing credits with you on that?
No.
Good dad.
Yeah, that's right. Do you want to talk about poetry or anything? Or any questions? Thanks for coming, man. It's good to see you. Yeah. We could have a quick break.
Do you want to talk about poetry?
I mean, I don't know. I've been talking about poetry this whole time. I don't know. What can I say?
I have a question.
Okay, thank you.
How long does it take before you observe a moment and have a feel before you can translate that to paper?
Man, great question, because that poem right there, it was like, I think I pulled out my phone and started writing it. I was like, oh my God. Like, my daughter is, so like, it's a real skill to be able to translate a bird's call with your mouth with English language. Like really, like it's a big deal. I just was like so blown away by it. I immediately was like, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, can't we go to the park now? And I was like, shut up, I'm writing my phone. You know, so other times, I mean, if you want to look at like the publication date, it's 2020. I mean, Mary killed herself in 2003. It took 17 years from and I wrote poems about her like immediately. I mean, like Matt, you remember some of these poems, I think.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. I mean, you know, like, it took an extraordinarily long time to process
that one.
Yeah, exactly, to process that. So sometimes it's like spontaneous, sometimes it can take years. I mean, I'm working on poems right now that are about my childhood that are like, they're just wrecking me, you know? So they've taken, what am I, 44, they've taken 36, 37 years, long time.
It's because you're having like unlocked memories as you go on, and then you're writing about those.
Some. It's also just like, I was wondering when that was gonna happen. We should it should be a drinking game. Oh, sorry, over. Lame. Yes. In fact, with one of the ones I'm working on right now, that's what's happening, and it's really, I've had to like just stop working on that. I'm like, I can't deal with that. But sometimes it's just, I don't know, it's just like, it's really interesting. Like the first poem I ever wrote, I was working at a produce store and I was like sweeping like down the aisle, you know, and I got underneath the corn bin and this like wobbly, like rotting ear of corn came out, and this line of poetry came to me and it said, what if I were this piece of corn? You know? And then went on, what if I was this pyramidal of apples? I didn't say pyramidal because that's too poetic at that time, I was 14. But like, you know, what if I was this and what if I was that? And the whole poem was about, it was a sort of a epistemology of like the self and like the human body, and like how do you know you're not, how do I know I'm not you and that you're not me and that we're just not figuring it out, you know? So why am I telling you this story again? I don't remember. But the point is like the first poem just literally, it was like the voice of God just came in and that was it. But then like there are poems that take a really long time to materialize. So you just don't really know. There's no real good answer to why it happens or doesn't happen. But I do think when you have a spontaneous moment where your daughter is emulating the sound of a songbird, you know, and you get a tattoo of one on your arm, pretty easy transition. Thank you for your question. Your question about like, did that really happen? I mean,
Well, I was like, does that stuff happen? Like,
I mean,
are animals alive in the snake?
So, but it's like a really interesting question because it's like so obvious that the answer is no, but you
Oh,
still feel the need to ask it. No, seriously, like you still feel the need to ask it.
I was thinking like maybe
Right,
this
like-
thing just ate the like.
I don't think it's that.
No, that's the whole point.
Oh.
Is that like the poem somehow makes it so real that you're like, surely someone didn't just make this shit up.
We need to talk to the zoologist. We need to get back on that.
I'll call a zoologist right now.
Let's do it.
Call Dr. Dulo. He's
Dr. D.
He's
Alex?
I was wondering, like, do you ever feel like the final edited product has taken away some soul from your original writing?
Nope.
Even if it might be a better product, like you feel like something
Nope.
lost.
No, never.
That's good.
That's your job. So like, yeah, of course, when you like write that brilliant poem and you take it in a workshop with which people don't know what they're doing, but you know, maybe they know a little, blah blah blah. Then you go through that process. All writers will say they feel like, you know, but the writer's job is to find the soul again. So like, I'm a big fan of like considering like a poem has problems. like me, I think of a poem having problems. Like the music isn't intense enough. You know, you're reading it, and it sounds like you're reading like a short story rather than a poem. We've talked about this many times. Like it can certainly take the soul out of it to be like, now I will make it sound like a poem. Now I'll make it like more clear as a narrative. You know, like yes, absolutely, that can take the soul out of it. So when you get to that point where like the soul is out of it, your job as a writer is to go find the soul again. That's like one of the most important things you can do. So whenever a student, I don't have students anymore in this respect, but they complain, I feel like the soul's been taken out of my poem. It's like, then go find the soul again. You wrote it, didn't you? It's there. It's your job to take care of it. It's your job to make it as soulful and beautiful as it can possibly be. And I think like if you get to a point where you're like, no, the soul's dead, well then kill the poem. Have a little, you know, I used to burn poems. I used to like go to my grill and just like, yeah, right, hardcore, right? Just light them on fire. Yeah, and get them out of here.
Beavis.
Yeah.
You ever regret having burned a poem?
Nope. I have a digital version somewhere. Yeah.
You're like, hold on, let me just control P. All right, I'm gonna burn this poem.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I burned a lot of poems. It does help to burn things. They go away. So when a poem's not working and you need to get rid of it, you can do it. One more question, maybe? I'm having a good time talking. I don't get to talk about poetry that much anymore. Yeah.
I was just wondering who you're inspired by.
Who am I? Oh, God.
Yourself?
In the poetry world, which poets?
Oh.
You're asking a very dangerous question.
Ooh. Good one.
Andrew pulls out a knife. Really dangerous, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Who's asking?
The answer is nobody. Which is a difficult answer. I'm just at a different place than I've ever been in my life, and I don't really care that much about I don't care very much about the influence of other poets. I run a poetry series called the Nashville Poetry Party. I run poemoftheweek.com, which has been going for almost 20 years, which purely celebrates other poets. I love other poets, but I must say, I'm just in a place where I'm just interested in what I'm trying to do and say. You know, so yeah, just.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off there.
No, that was
Okay.
that was
Is
good.
Chris dead?
Huh?
Is Chris dead?
Well, okay, so if you read, if you look at the word damn and the word God, the rumor is that he's dead.
Well, you don't know.
So we don't actually know. But he's lost to antiquity. Like we don't, I mean, how would I even find out at this point? I don't even remember his last name. But when I was working on that poem, that was in 2007, so 18 years ago, the most recent news and the reason that poem came to happen was that Chris had been killed by his father because he was gay. Yeah. He didn't bother to clean the boning knife,
Yep.
sequin from
Yeah.
Makabula Lake, because he was gay. You know, it's unreal. But, yeah. Curtis, you want to close this out?
Sure.
You had some question.
I was wondering about, I feel like there's a sort of changing relationship in your books, right?
Yeah.
Between imagination and reality, or fantasy and reality. How would you describe how that relationship has changed in your poetry?
Yeah, you know, like, Ghost Gear is mythical. Like, I mean, it talks about, like, who's the in Ghost Gear, the god of the ocean that comes out? Oh, what's his damn name?
Poseidon?
It's not Poseidon, it's not Zeus, it's a very specific, the god's a fisherman, actually. I just can't think of his name right now. It's right there, but it doesn't matter. You know, I was like referencing like myth. I mean, I stopped doing that after the first book and creating in Visiting Hours / Marisarius, I created like a myth of her, but it gets real fantasy, like with the Catalpas. The Catalpas have done this. The Catalpas haven't done anything. I mean, obviously, and then like Fight or Flight goes into like pure, absolute fantasy. I'm not sure what that's all about. Unsubscribe, I think, is actually completely unfantastical and unmythical because I'm like, fuck the myths, fuck the fantasies, fuck the poets, fuck the president, fuck everybody, unsubscribe, right? And that's like what's being said is like, like all these constructs that we've come up with to survive modern America, modern society, like it's not working for this guy. So it's going to become horribly unmythical and unfantastical. But that's a really interesting point.
Can I
Yeah.
just ask you a question? You talk about these themes that go throughout each book,
Yeah.
and now you're writing for a new book, presumably. Do you ever have an inspiration to write a poem? You're like, well, this poem will not go in this book because
That's
it's
a
so
great
out of
question.
that theme. But I'm going to
Yeah.
write it anyways. Or do
Yeah.
you find that you pull a theme out of it after you put together the collection without a premeditated idea of what you're
Yeah, so every book's different. So like Unsubscribe has a title which is the thesis of the entire book. Unsubscribe. I'm unsubscribing from this and this and this and this. Right. But like, Ghost Gear wasn't like that. I didn't have a predetermined notion of it. Visiting Hours was like the most like wildly, like ludicrously, like I have no fucking clue what I'm doing at all. I mean, I wrote only about her for 10 years and there's only 24 poems in it, one for every hour of the day. I mean, like obviously I wrote more than 24 poems, so I just deleted. Then Fight or Flight was equally organic. I wanted to write poems that like just anyone could understand, but I just wrote what there was. Unsubscribe, I think you're making an interesting observation. I think it's a little bit subscriptive. It's like you're writing about unsubscribing shit. That's what you're doing. I don't think I'm writing about much else. I'm kind of annoyed, and I want to just get that out.
Yeah, you gotta avoid the noise.
Yeah. No, you praise the Noid, then you run like hell. I think that's good enough. Guys, this has been a
somewhat tangential or somehow related to that. Do you write? You said something about to find a solo poem. Do you ever write a poem that is, I don't know how to say this, objectively good, but doesn't have the soul you were aiming for? And then what do you do with it?
Do you ever write a poem that sounds good but doesn't really have a soul? And what do
Like
you
maybe
do?
it's fluff or guilty pleasure. It's like a good bad song.
I'll be honest with you, man. I mean, I don't write enough to really write stuff that doesn't matter. So like, I think what happens is basically I don't write until something matters. That's my new approach. But in graduate school, like, what is this, 2025? You know, that was 20 years ago. I was in graduate school. Of course you were writing. You were just writing. You were just like, I gotta write whatever. I gotta like, for workshop, I gotta make something.
Right,
So,
but stuff that's worth keeping or worth something,
Yeah.
but maybe not where you
yeah.
really wanted it to go.
I will be honest with you. I burn them.
Okay.
I don't actually burn
I guess I'm sort of getting.
Because they're irrelevant.
What's your burning criteria?
Well, the burning criteria are pretty much what you just said.
Okay.
Like this might sound good, this might this, but it's got no soul. I mean, what matters to me more than anything is the soul. The hardest part, the thing is like getting to where you can actually like represent the soul. That's an absurd thing to try to do, but I'm sort of realizing as I say this, I think that's kind of what I try to do with poems. Like, when it's working, it's working. When it's not working, you know, but I will say, certainly when I was younger, it was like, but I've made this great thing and this thing and that, and if only I could get that something, that it, you know? It's like, you know, it's like, I'll go here, fuck it. It's like politics, man. Like, if you ain't got it, get the fuck out. The one thing that guy motherfucking has is it. It's the one thing he's got, and it fucking works, okay? So, like, as a writer, if a poem doesn't have it, I just sort of discard it. If it has it, and it sucks, that's more normal, by the way. Then I'm like, I gotta
keep working it until it doesn't suck, right?
Until it doesn't suck, because the it is there. You don't have to worry about it.
Okay.
So,
Nice.
yeah.
Well,
Thank you for the
I look
question.
forward to reading your erotica.
Do you want me to read one? Want me to read one?
Absolutely.
Want me to read one? All right.
Wait, are you unsubscribing from erotica?
No.
Unsubscribe?
We can all.
I'm not unsubscribing from erotica, okay?
Just checking.
No, this is perfect. Yeah. No.
He's gonna read some erotica, guys.
I'm gonna read some erotica.
You're cracking me up.
You're making me feel like it better be
What's
really
that?
Cracking me up
erotic.
with the Lord Anderson. I completely forgot about this album until last week.
Andy's favorite.
That's nice.
It's Andy. It's all Andy.
How erotic should I go, Curtis? What do you think I should do?
Triple S. Like old time 1978 Times Square.
So this is really interesting. I don't really know erotica well because there really isn't a contemporary erotica. But we've been talking. Me and Curtis have been like hanging out and talking about erotica because we got some erotic poems. And then here popped up on Facebook an erotica poetry reading in Nashville. That's like a common event, like every week or month or something. For the first time ever, I'm like, thank you for listening to me.
Alright, let me get a glass of wine.
Yeah, go. It's gonna take me a second to find this.
Use a glass of wine for that.
Okay, right. Oh God, what am I doing? It's a terrible plan.
Is this still soul we're going to be looking for in this poem? Or is
Oh, this poem has some soul, David.
Just wonder if there's some other metaphor for what's deep in an erotic poem.
Okay. Thank you. All right.
Congratulations on the baby.
Yes, baby. He has a new baby. It's
You
just-
got a new baby.
it's perfect.
Oh, is he next door with his family?
No. He was just
Oh,
like,
he's using.
he was like, we should go next door and
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. Joel. I know. I was gonna say.
He's gonna read some of his erotica.
I'm good.
Oh, shut up.
I actually just had to go anyway.
He's gonna read a poem that's like, I'm out.
Not happening.
But really,
Yes,
Don't laugh at me. Don't you?
oh, you do have a little squeeze.
I do.
A little squeeze on. Mwah, I love you. I'll come out. I'm gonna come out.
Oh yeah.
Bye, sweetheart.
It's okay.
Before you leave.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay. Bye, Andy.
Love you.
Bye, Andy. You got everything in my
hey,
house?
thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was super cool.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll see you if you're still here. I'll see you next week, right? Maybe? I'm leaving Tuesday. I know. That's why I'm gonna come down. I've got
Sunday,
schedule.
Monday.
Okay.
Have a good trip if I don't see you. Thank you, sweetheart.
Bye. Love you.
Okay. So I've worked on this poem, but well, shit, we gotta. Shit. Oh wait.
You want me to get her? Oh, I thought you was
No.
just gonna chit chat.
It just feels like, you know.
Here he is.
Here he is. All right, it just feels wrong to read this poem without you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, all right. So this is actually an example of a poem where like I've kind of worked it too much. And I was reading it to Curtis earlier in the week, and like just worked it too much. So I'm gonna read the basically like sort of the first draft of it. It's very short. It's called "Let Me Take Care of That." You know you've married the right woman when at a late Friday meeting you suggest to one of your business partners, "Let me take care of that." And your wife stands up and tapes your mouth shut with a kiss, then moves swiftly down your body, the tip of her tongue, her breasts dragging lithe as the head of snakes against your skin. And she kisses every inch of your body, but the inches you're dying for, then rips the tape off and asks you sweetly, "Make me come with your mouth, my love, your mouth."
Wow.
I mean, is that,
That's
erotica.
erotica.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Getting steamy in
So
here.
much to know about you, Joe.
She's kind of mean, to be honest with you. No. Okay, I mean, do you want to talk about anything else? I'm in. Let's keep talking. This is great. This is fun.
Wait, how many of these do you have exactly?
So I have like two. That's actually a really good question too. It's like I'm all like, I'm gonna write erotica,
Is it a collection of this?
and then I've got like two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm my plan is to write like 5.
Okay.
You know. But
Who
also,
inspires you? I'm just kidding.
no one. Yeah, I can't say.
Yeah, I don't know who you're
Not a lot of erotic poets that I know of.
Dude.
Well, I mean, when I found out about this erotic poet like open mic reading thing, I was like, shit, I should go and like see what people are doing. I mean, I don't know.
Is that
like,
natural?
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Is it going to be like, you know, I don't know, just like super over the top? Or is it going to be good? I don't know. I mean, erotic poetry is not a thing.
Can it not be both?
Josie.
Good, yeah.
Do you have to get Karen's approval?
Good question.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything. I tend to share them with her, and she really enjoys that part. You know, I don't really like. So it's like being a magician. You don't show your tricks. So like you don't reveal your secrets. So like, you know, I don't actually write about exactly what we do in bed, which is everything, and it's beautiful. But you sort of like fantasize, right? And it's really fun. You know, I'll send it to her. I'm like, and she goes, "Man, that's hot. I love that." You know, and then you know you read it to a group of people, and then you talk about it, and so it's an interesting experiment. But yes, if I was really writing something like more autobiographical, of course that's it. Can I share this? Yeah. For sure.
Thanks.
No problemo.
Very good, Andrew. Thank you.
All right, we good? All right, now we're good. Thank you, everyone. Let's go drink some booze, losers.
Poetry nerd.
If you want to buy a book, from me, you can.